Hello one more time from Yerevan. In the round 5 of the European Individual Chess Championship, I played Czech Grandmaster David Navara. A few months ago I lost a very tough game to him. Position was very close to a draw for a long time, and then near the time trouble I made one wrong move and I was punished immediately. So I had white pieces today, and of course I wanted to try to take my revenge. I started with e4, c5, knight f3. Okay, David plays too many openings, pawns, and even some different kinds of pawns, and neither. Also, he can start game or with e5 or maybe even some other moves, so I didn't really prepare too much. But I was lucky that during our camp just before the tournament we looked at this interesting line. I played queen d2 and after knight f6 f4, which is a new move and quite popular recently. David was not ready for this. During the camp Mustafa Yilmaz suggested this line, and he claimed that it was not easy to equalize the position with black. Well, after we analyzed a bit, we understood that black's position was not too bad, but really, I mean, if he's not ready, this logical and aggressive setup can make some problems for him. Of course, black can always try to play something like d6, and I mean, this is normally not what players with black pieces want to suffer, because okay, black is really passive here. Normally he doesn't want to play both knight c6 and queen c7 in similar positions, so white will have time to castle comfortably, put his king to b1, start pushing pawns, g4, g5 and so on. And David went for the most logical move, bishop b4. Now my pawn on e4 needs protection, bishop d3 is very logical. And here here black has many possibilities. Okay, but moves like e5, knight g4, they really look dangerous for black. So the moves that actually I was expecting were knight a5, maybe the most likely move to happen in a practical game. Then I go a3 after this exchange. Black should probably try to push d5, and after e5, knight e4, knight b3. Black probably has to go knight c4. Okay, I will not explain now details, but this is more or less a forced sequence of moves, and we get some position like this, where bishop on d4 is very strong and it is quite difficult for black to play. He will need to defend his knight by pushing f5, because this knight cannot go anywhere at the moment, and bishop cannot be developed to b7, which would be a very nice square b7. If black would only be able to play bishop b7 and put bishop to d5, his position would be, of course, even better. But he cannot do this, and he will have to push f5, then white will take. There will be some weaknesses, white will castle, put other rook to e1, then try to go rook e3, h3 and attack weaknesses in the black's camp. After black pushes f5 later, which he will most probably have to do, white always pushes g4 and g5. Okay, this was our analysis during the camp with our coach and other players from Turkey, and we understood that this position was unpleasant for black. So I was hoping something like this would happen. But black has other options. For example, knight e7, move that Turkish player Burak Ferhat played yesterday in his game with Miloš Perunović, which has a similar idea to attack the knight on c3 and also prepare d5 push. White most likely plays a3 again. Okay, in the game, Perunovic played knight de2, but it is difficult to expect something for white here. The position is probably really good for black. I'm not sure if it's better, but it's acceptable. And if white wants to do something, he should try to go for this line. And now black again, in such positions, black cannot play slowly because strategically his position is close to hopeless. If I push the bishop on e3 is too strong, and if I would be able to push, let's say, c4 and e5, okay, this would be the end. And black has to try to push d5. And now the most logical reply is e5, the move that we analyzed during the camp, but after this, knight is much better on e7 than it was on a5. And after knight to e4, white cannot, if white takes it, it's quite obvious that black's position is excellent, because his knight has very good squares on d5 and f5, probably will have some opposite color bishops and draw. So white needs to take on d5 here. This is the move that our coach Evgeny Miroshnichenko suggested, and after this, at first my impression was that black's position would be excellent, but the more we were analyzing, the more we understood that it was not so easy. It was not easy at all. After black takes, okay, if black takes back with the pawn, it's quite obvious that white's position is preferable. But if he takes with some knight, let's say this knight or the other, white retreats to d2. Then he wants to push c4, maybe king f2, other rook will be active, some rook will come to b1. Anytime black pushes b5, a4 will come. Okay, somehow this position is unpleasant. We understood why it was actually better. So knight e7 maybe is not that great either. One real option is to push b5, the move that I like the most. And after a3, black gives this bishop and plays bishop b7 now. Okay, black has some weaknesses on dark squares, but the problem is that this pawn on e4 is under attack, or will be under attack really soon, and white simply doesn't have time to just defend everything and play slowly on dark squares. What he can do is take on c6, exchange, and now unfortunately white has to push the pawn, and after knight d5, white should probably go back to d2 to try to save the bishops, and I think black should go f5, and I think his position is absolutely fine. Okay, white is not worse, he can just keep the position, but I don't think white is better, because bishop on c6 is really an excellent piece and white doesn't have breakthroughs. So black can try to prepare g5, but white will probably stop it by playing h4. If white plays b3 and c4, black will just take. If bishop takes c4, okay, black has nothing to worry about. If pawn takes to c4, then bishop on c6 will remain a monster forever. So somehow, my impression is that black is not worse at all. So I think this is the best way to play for black. And in the game, David played short castle, a move that somehow I don't remember looking at all. So a3 is very logical now. Okay, black might return to e7, but then this is the position that he doesn't want to play, where he gives me free initiative and his queenside attack doesn't look so threatening. So he had bishop c takes c3 ready. I spent a bit of time, and of course I want to take with the queen, but I had to check his move knight g4, that is the move that he actually played. Otherwise there was no point in giving this bishop, and his position just simply be awful. He has to do something aggressive. That's what he does. At first, I thought I would maybe take on c6, because okay, now his idea is this: he wants to take my bishop on e3. If he manages to take this bishop, then obviously I will have no advantage at all. Maybe my position will even be worse, because black already castled, and maybe he'll have some advantage in development. And at first I was thinking about knight c6. Okay, my threat is knight e7 check, winning the queen, so black doesn't have time to take on e3. He probably takes with some pawn. Okay, probably it's better to take with this pawn. And now I can either move my bishop to d2 or c1, or try to play aggressively with bishop c5. If I go bishop c5, now if black covers with d6, I can retreat my bishop to g1. I want to play h3 and then just enjoy my two bishops. So black should probably take on f4. And now probably it's not so great to take on f8 immediately, because black can check, and after king d1 he just takes on f8, and somehow I'm not very comfortable with my pieces, and I thought queen d2 would maybe be necessary. Then black can do many things, even maybe he can take this pawn as well, and then check. Okay, king goes somewhere, knight takes g2, and now he will return with his knight, and he has two pawns, so his position should be probably good, maybe even better. No, I don't think better, but let's say normal. Okay, maybe black doesn't have to take, because at this moment there is no threat. White cannot take queen f2, so maybe he can play some more useful move, maybe he can run away with his queen. I don't know. So this was my worry around here. And after b takes c6, I started to look first at bishop d2. Then black should put his queen to b6 or a7, I don't know if it makes any difference. And now the problem is that queen f2 is coming, and there's no way to stop it. If I go rook f1, black can simply take the pawn. So the next thing I considered was to play bishop c1 here, and then I'm sure David would play queen b6 or queen a7 again. And now I can go queen d2, and I actually thought that this position was preferable for me, because I will be able to push h3, chase away the knight, and then slowly play with two bishops. I'm not sure if black can do something really quickly. Maybe he can. If he cannot, okay, then white has slight advantage. But before I checked this really carefully, I returned to bishop d2, which actually was the first move that I looked at, and I decided that it was problematic because of queen b6, of course. Now my knight is under attack, and I cannot protect it, and if I take, for example, c6, black will first check on f2, I have to move my king, then black takes, I'm not sure which pawn, and again, okay, I'm not sure, maybe my position is not bad, but black seems to be at least fine. So then I returned to this move one more time, and I noticed that I don't have to run away with my knight, and this is actually the move that Navara missed, as he told me after the game. I can simply play h3, and now his position is most probably really bad, maybe even lost. For example, he can take, and I just take. Now I have attack over the h file, I have two bishops and better development, and he has only weak dark squares and nothing else. So he understood now that queen b6 was not a serious option, and he decided to go for a okay, his position is really unpleasant now, because anyway I want to push some h3, or maybe I will just, yes, h3 castle long. I don't know, I mean, black's position really looks bad. He just gave bishop for free, he lost some time, and he decided to go for e5. I'm not sure about this decision. Okay, it's interesting decision, but unfortunately it looks like it doesn't work for him. So I checked a bit knight f5 here, because now he cannot take on f4 because of checkmate on g7, but maybe he can push this pawn. I'm not sure, maybe even he can push like this. My king is in the center, but if this is not great, then okay, he can just play d6, and this is for sure good enough. I didn't see that I could do something here. And knight c6 is very logical and normal move. Of course, he takes with the pawn to open his bishop. And now I had two options. Okay, both of them start with h3, so I will make this move. Knight has to go to f6, and I had two options. One was to... Okay, there were actually maybe more options that I considered, but I had two main ideas. I will first say something about some idea like this. I can just castle. My position is better, of course. I have two bishops, my pieces are developed, and I started creating some pressure. But I was not sure if it would be really enough to win the game. Black has many ways to play now. Other option was to push f5 and go for g4, g5, and some kingside, a bit slower kingside attack. Another important thing is that his bishop cannot be developed so easily. Okay, he will have to push b5, develop his bishop to b7, try to play b5, c5, something like this. So I thought black would have some play here. And the most logical and most forcing move was f takes e5, and I decided to go for this after calculating a bit. Of course, his idea was obvious to go knight d7 and then recapture this pawn. If he manages, then his position will be more or less normal. If he would be able to do something like knight takes e5, pawn to f6, bishop to e6. Okay, still probably I have some kingside attack with g4, g5 and so on, but it would be playable for him. But of course, I go bishop f4, and now I'm protecting this pawn, and it is a very important pawn, and black has to go rook e8 and try to attack it. And here I spent a lot of time because it was not very obvious what I would do. I checked, for example, one funny line like this: e6, he has to take my bishop. I can take on f7. If he takes with a king, I can play rook f1 and win the game, but he can take with a queen, and after bishop c4 he has rook e4. So this was the end of the line. Unfortunately, this move doesn't work. So of course, the most logical move was castle. And now I want main things, I'm not sure, probably just bishop c4. And black has to take. And now bishop c4. Now I'm attacking f7, and it would be really devastating for black if he wouldn't have this queen b6 check. Now he wants to take my bishop on c4, so my only chance is to play bishop e3 and attack his queen. And now he simply returns to c7, again threatening to take my bishop on c4. And I can repeat the position or move my bishop. If I play bishop, something like bishop e3, black plays bishop e6, and this is the end of his problems. Moreover, his position can already be preferable. So I decided that this wouldn't be so great, and okay, long castle is possible, but I wanted to attack the pawn on f7 faster, and I decided to go for bishop c4 and rook f1. Now you will see the idea. Okay, black probably cannot play knight b6, probably just e6 wins immediately. Maybe also queen a5 is possible. Maybe this wins as well. Okay, in any case, this is not an option. For example, knight f8 is another possibility to block the pawn, but I just push e6 and this will win the game. So black really has to try to take this pawn. Now castle will be transposition to what we already looked at, but I have this strong move rook f1. Okay, my king on e1 is not feeling very comfortable, but black cannot do anything at the moment to my king, and I don't let him check from b6. So now my threats are real. I want to take on e5 and then take on f7 and just win the game. And the only move that he can play is king h8. This is what he did. And here I had two possibilities. I understood my position was winning, but I had one quiet way to win without giving him any counterplay in the endgame, and I had one aggressive attacking way. So I considered three moves here, mainly three moves. One move was to take bishop f7. This was my first idea. And now black can either take or maybe give some check with knight. I'm not sure if it changes much. Let's say he takes. I take bishop e5. And for him I thought it was probably best to go queen to e7. Because if queen goes to g6, later on after I castle, I will try to play rook f3 and rook g3, and maybe it will be a problem for him. So I thought queen e7 was best. And now I can castle because, okay, he cannot take my bishop because of the checkmate. So after I castle, okay, my position is really fantastic. I want to put my rook to g3 and just win in attack, and I really thought the position was most probably winning. But still, maybe there is some chance that black will somehow be able to create something. I was not absolutely sure. And other option was to make a long castle. That's what I did. Now I want to do many things, take on f7 or something like this. And black really has to try to play f6. And now I take on e5. Black cannot take with the pawn because of rook f7. And my next move is queen g3. This will be deadly. He cannot cover, of course, because of the checkmate. So it is very important he cannot take with the bishop, because this would totally save him. He would just play bishop e6 on the next move at normal position. But I can take this rook, and no matter how black takes, he will be checkmated on the 8th rank by one of my rooks. So he has to take with the queen, and after I take, he has to take with the pawn. Okay, this endgame is of course winning because my rooks are on open files, his king is in the corner, and he cannot develop his bishop. Actually, this is probably the most important thing, that black cannot develop his bishop. With pawns, for example, not on g2 and h3, but on h2 and g3, black would have chances to go bishop h3 and fight. And after I saw this, I also considered move rook d1, with idea to get the same position, only this time my king will stay in the center, which is definitely better. But here I was worried that maybe I can give him a chance to do something else. Let me just remember what I was thinking about. f6, okay, but maybe some move with one of the pawns. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just maybe h6. And now, if I take on e5, he takes probably with the rook. And after I take on f7, maybe. Now this comes with a check. Okay, it might be also winning for me. Probably it is, but I couldn't be sure. I decided that anyway my position should be winning, so I can just play the castle. And he has to go f6. I take, he takes, I take, he takes. And again, I had several different ideas here. One option was to play rook d6. This was a very interesting option. Okay, I knew my position was winning, but I also thought that still I needed to show some precision, because one wrong move and black can get some counter chances. And one option was to play rook d6 and just don't let him develop. Probably he has to push this pawn, and I thought normally it's better to put my bishop on a2, because on b3 it's not doing much more, and sometimes it's important for me to push b4. And now his pawn on c6 is hanging. Okay, maybe he should try to push this pawn. And now he wants to also play c4 and close my bishop, so I should go bishop d5, and he will probably play rook a7. Okay, it must be winning, and just I couldn't understand how exactly it wins. I win by force, so it was not so easy to play this. And another idea was to go bishop f7, after which he must play rook f8. Now I can go bishop a2. This is much better square for my bishop, because b5 will not come with that. So if black returns to e8, then I got something, I gained something. I thought he would take, and now play bishop d7, and after rook f7 he will go rook to d8, and I probably play rook to e7. And now this was the position actually where I wanted my king to be on e1 rather than c1, so that's why I spent maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 moves ago, thinking if to castle or just play rook to d1. Okay, here I thought I was also pretty sure my position was winning, because my idea is not to take the pawn on e5. This would give him some chance to fight. But I want just to push inside pawns probably, and take material later. Okay, if I take on e5, let's say, I don't know, black plays g6 and I take, I was worried about rook e8, and I was worried that maybe black would have some chance to survive in this position, especially, let's say, okay, he cannot really play g5 here, then after rook e5, rook e8, I will just take this pawn as well, and after this there is checkmate. But okay, my concern was some endgame like this, so I still thought it was winning, but I was not sure this was the best way to play. And finally, in this position I decided to go for rook f7, not bishop f7, not rook d6, but rook f7. Now I want to play maybe rook d6 and paralyze him maybe on the next move, and my main idea is probably to go rook e7. Okay, it's not even so important what my main idea is, because black only has one move, b5, nothing else has any point. So he has to push b5, and now his idea is if I would move my bishop anywhere, he will play bishop e6, and once I take, he takes. If I double my rooks on the 7th rank, he can play rook g6. This rook is both attacking and protecting, and now, okay, still of course I have very good chances. Maybe g4, maybe my position is still winning, but at least it's not so easy to be sure now, and black definitely has some chances to save the game. So after b5 I played move rook e7. This was my main idea, and David replied by rook f8, after which his position is probably lost. Okay, anyway his position is lost, but I thought his last chance was to play bishop g4. And now I have two endgames here, I can choose which one to enter. Okay, I have to start with rook e8, rook e8. I think both endgames are winning and without much trouble, but I'm still not sure which one I would have chosen. Probably I would go for this one, bishop f7, bishop d1, only move, bishop e8, and black has to go to e2, threatening to go to f1 as well, and win pawn. I take on c6, he plays bishop f1, I push b4, very important to stop black's pawn on a6, and after he takes my g2 pawn, I play h4. And now my idea is to go king d2, king e3, and then simply bishop e7 and bishop a6. And I don't think there's anything black can do about this. Okay, important line is h5 because I'm just in time. That's what I thought. g5, h4, king e3, h3, king f2, and it looks like my position is winning. So this is one option. And there is another option after his bishop g4. I might just take, and after pawn takes, play rook d6. Now I will take more pawns, and I will take them quickly, but still maybe black can play, let's say, rook f8. And now his idea is to check, and okay, not immediately, so I can start with taking, and black should try to play g5. After he takes my pawns, at least his pawn will already be on g5. So let's say I take a6, he checks one more time, probably king goes to c3, he takes this, and okay, I don't know, I mean, where my rook should go and what happens here. Probably my position is winning, but I was not absolutely sure. Black still has some chances to survive. Okay, maybe here instead of rook c6 I can start with king d2 and use the fact that black cannot move his rook from the 8th rank. And after black plays something like g5, I can go king e3, but then black can go maybe rook f4, and if I push g3, now it's important that he cannot take this pawn on g4. I will play h3, okay, king f3, after h5 his rook is trapped on g4, so I win easily. So, okay, maybe black plays something else, then I will start collecting his pawns. Maybe he can try to get some counterplay over the b file. So in both cases black keeps some chances, I would say, and I think I would most probably have gone for the bishop endgame. So after rook e7, he didn't think too much, although he had really a lot of time. He was feeling his position was hopeless, and I think he was wrong because still some chances existed. He played rook f8, and I moved my bishop to a2, which is of course the nicest square because sometimes I want to keep the b4 option. And I was expecting him to play rook b8. I thought this was the only move for him. And okay, of course I can now just take the pawn on e5 and he will play rook to b7, and okay, no immediate threats, maybe some chances to save the game, probably very difficult. I can also play b4, fix his pawns, and all of these positions are winning for me, but still okay, there is the game is still going on. I mean, I cannot claim that I will win 100%. Maybe I can also try to play rook f7, but then he has bishop b7 move, and after I go rook c7, trying to double my rooks in the 7th rank, he can go with this rook to c8. Okay, and all of these positions are winning, but they still require some technique. Instead, David played here c5, trying to close my bishop with c4, but now I have a forced rook goes back to f7, and he has to play rook e8, simply there is no bishop move. Okay, rook g8 doesn't change anything actually. I can still play like the same things like in the game. Bishop d5, rook b8 and rook f1, threatening with rook f8. There is nothing I can do to stop this. David played his rook to e8, and now okay, still some chance to make a mistake. For example, after okay, bishop d5, actually here it must be winning as well. After bishop e6, I should just play somewhere with my rook, maybe rook c7. Even this position is winning, but of course my idea was to go rook to f1, threatening to play rook f8 with checkmate, and black has no square for his bishop. He has to open his king a bit. Now it's important not to play bishop d5, this would give black some chance after bishop e6, and somehow I cannot win any material and fight goes on. But I should check on f8 first. After king g7, rook f7 and rook j8, they both win easily. I wanted to play rook f7 at first, and then bishop d5 and rook to f8. But okay, I just decided that they were absolutely the same, so finally I played rook j8 check, king f6, bishop d5, only square for rook is b8. And now, okay, many ways to win the game, but the simplest one is rook e8. I don't let his king come closer, and he cannot unpin his pieces, and I also can play bishop e6 in the next move or any other move. So my idea was to first play king d2, king e3, let's say maybe g3, h4, and then win material by playing bishop e6. David played king g5. Okay, of course bishop e6 is winning and many other things, but I think g3 is the most normal move, because I don't give any counter chance to black. And after h5, I took on e5. Okay, here David resigned, but even in case of king f6, I just returned back to e8, and bishop e6 is winning material. Soon I also can win in any other way that I want. So okay, I'm quite happy with this game. I think I played well, but it was okay. David made a huge mistake, I think, in the opening when he didn't know the line, and he castled, and after a3 he took on c3 and played knight g4 and gave me huge advantage. Okay, still I needed to play accurately in order not to give him counter chances. I think I did my job well, and well, today I won an important game, and tomorrow I have another difficult round, so in around 24 hours I will return with another interesting analysis. Until then, goodbye.